Welcome to the site of the Hindenburg disaster. Here we are in Lakehurst, New Jersey, at the airship base where the Hindenburg, which it's still currently a military base, where the Hindenburg was supposed to have landed on May 6, 1937. And as we know from history and from early newsreel footage and recordings, this is where the Hindenburg crashed and burned. The Hindenburg was really the last of the great passenger airships, and hopefully by learning more about it, we can understand more about engineering in general and how people try to engineer things better. So the Hindenburg was coming from somewhere to my right, and it was churning around. It made a sharp churn or several sharp churns, which probably contributed to the failure, because it put a lot of stress on the structure. It may have actually ripped a gas cell inside, releasing some of the tremendous amounts of hydrogen, which was used to keep the airship aloft. And then when the lines were dropped to the ground, there may have been a static buildup on the surface of the Hindenburg, which of course, due to the grounding through the lines that were dropped, may have actually ignited the hydrogen. So here at the Lake lovely memorial, which is actually where the gondola of the Hindenburg came down. It actually extended about 150 feet to my right, actually 150 feet to my left and 600 feet to my right. This was a memorial marker that was placed here on the anniversary of the 50th anniversary of the disaster. 36 people died on this site, 35 on board, 22 of which were crew, one person who was a crew member on the ground. And there's still some of the historic structures here as well. In fact, behind me, the very large building you see is Hangar 1, and that's where the Hindenburg was going to be brought into and after it landed and berthed after it was landed. And it also was the building that several other large airships were built in and manufactured here on this site. So what I hope we'll learn by being here, first of all, we're gonna talk to the president of the Lakehurst Historical Society, Carl Jablonski. He's going to tell us a lot more about what happened at this site, and also what happened in general at Lakehurst, something about airship history, something about the broader factors at work here. And so we'll learn more about the broader impact of this disaster. As I said, it was really the end of the days of the passenger airship. The very few flew after that, and even though many had, there were a number of failures before this, people still were in awe of these great airships and continued building them. So we'll learn a little bit about the psychology of engineering, a little bit about what can happen after a failure like this, how it can affect people's thoughts, how it can affect an entire industry. We'll also do some work in the laboratory, looking at some of the actual materials that were collected from this site after the disaster, so that we can see how methods of failure analysis, materials analysis, can be used to help understand what happened, what some of the contributing factors may have been, maybe understand some things, be able to rule out some things that we may think happened. So it'll be an exciting opportunity for us to go into the laboratory and see how some of those tools are used as well. So after all is said and done, I hope we gain a better understanding of how engineers understand a disaster, how a disaster can have a very broad impact, the role psychology plays. There's a lot of great lessons we can learn here. And that's hopefully what we're going to do in these next few films.